Hello again, and welcome to The Inside. Thanks for taking the time to request your free thyroid report. If you're watching this, you're probably suffering with a thyroid condition, whether it's an underactive or hypothyroid condition, or an overactive or hyperthyroid condition. Or maybe it's not even a thyroid condition at all. It may be an autoimmune condition, such as Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune condition that causes hyperthyroidism, or maybe it's even the most common type of an autoimmune thyroid disease, Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Hashimoto's is caused by your body's own immune system attacking your own tissues, mainly the thyroid, which can cause both hyper and hypothyroid symptoms. Now, if you're just starting to investigate thyroid disorders and wondering what kind of symptoms a thyroid disorder can cause, hypothyroidism can cause things like morning headaches that wear off through the day, migraines, feeling unrested without getting at least 10 hours or more of sleep at night, fatigue, depression, muscle and joint pains, digestive problems such as gas, bloating, indigestion, heartburn, constipation, circulation problems causing cold hands and feet, difficulty losing weight, lack of motivation, difficulty concentrating, forgetfulness, brain fog, dry brittle hair or hair loss, dry itchy skin, edema. These are just some of the hypothyroid symptoms. Hyperthyroid symptoms can include things such as insomnia, heart palpitations, or that feeling like your heart's racing, inner trembling, nervousness, feeling emotional, night sweats, or difficulty gaining weight. Now, Hashimoto's is a combination of both of these, where you can have both hypo and hyperthyroid symptoms. But what can be just as frustrating as the actual symptoms themselves is the typical medical route that you might have to go through in order to attempt to get better. At first, your doctor might tell you your lab tests are normal. After going from doctor to doctor, you usually end up on some type of thyroid replacement hormone or medications, or feeling like you're a hypochondriac, being told that you just have a slow metabolism, or you're lazy, you need to exercise more, eat less, control your stress more, yada, yada, yada. Now, please don't take me wrong. If you're on medication, you may need to be on it. And it's not my job to tell you to get off the medication or to start taking it. That's not what I do. But if you've been on the same old medications for a long time now and are still suffering with the same or even worse symptoms, maybe it's time to reevaluate your condition. Now, let me explain a little bit about what I do and why I do it. Your thyroid is the gland that controls your metabolism. It's in charge of the gas pedal, and the thyroid secretes two types of hormones, T4 and T3. 93% of that hormone is in the form of T4, which is the inactive precursor to the active T3, which your body can use. T4 has to be converted to the active form T3 in the other tissues in your body, like your liver, your gut, or your brain. So T3 is the only active thyroid hormone that actually affects your metabolism. Now, your T4 jumps on a shuttle from your thyroid called the thyroglobulin to catch a ride to other parts in your body, where it's transformed from its inactive state into T3, where it can then be absorbed at the receptor sites of your body cells to affect your metabolism. When you go in to have your thyroid tested, your doctor will typically run a TSH, or thyroid stimulating hormone test, which is the hormone the pituitary in your brain secretes to tell your thyroid to make thyroid hormone. And if you're lucky, he might even check your T4 levels. Well, what happens if you're lacking the enzyme to transform T4 into T3? Your lab tests will all be normal, but you'll still be hypothyroid. Well, what happens if there's not enough shuttles or the thyroglobulin to take the T4 to the other tissues in your body to be converted? Again, normal lab results, but hypothyroid symptoms. Or what happens if you're taking estrogen or birth control pills or have a hormone imbalance? You see, estrogen is just one of the things that competes for the T4 in those little shuttle buses, so it doesn't make it to the tissues where it can be converted into T3. And don't get me started on what normal lab values are. If you wait for the lab markers to tell your doctor that you're sick, you will need to be on medications or hormones most likely for the rest of your life. But if you know what lab values will cause symptoms before they're red flagged by your doctor as pathological, We can use natural medicine to repair and reverse the damage before it's too late. Now let me ask you, have you ever been checked for antibodies against your thyroid like TPO or TBG? And if so, which I doubt, and they came back positive, what's your doctor doing about it? If you haven't had them checked, how does your doctor know if he or she is even treating a thyroid problem in the first place when the odds are 9 times greater that it's an autoimmune disorder? Taking the traditional healthcare approach to a thyroid disorder can be like sending in a mall security guard with a billy club to take on the Al-Qaeda. They're just not trained and equipped for it. This is what I specialize in. I'm like a thyroid detective. I investigate the crime scene, interview all the suspects, and I don't stop looking until I find our culprit. And then we arrest them, we lock them up, and see if the crime spree continues on. If it doesn't, we know we've caught our villain. If it does, the hunt goes on. And I don't stop until we find the offending culprit. And sometimes it's an entire crime wave of organized crime. Now there may be several villains we have to catch and fix. I do this investigating with proper testing, checking for antibodies against your tissues, imbalances in your immune system, improper hormone levels, bacterial, viral, parasitic, or other types of chronic infections, antigens, or food sensitivities, a whole lot more than just checking your TSH and T4 levels. But my point is this, you can't rely on a simple TSH and T4 lab test to determine what your metabolic problem is. That's like looking under the hood of a car when your engine's not running properly, not even knowing what you're looking for. Now you can check that oil stick, make sure the water level's full, but it's not going to tell you a lot if you're not a mechanic and don't even know what you're looking for. And you have to know what lab tests to run, and just as important, what to do with the results once you get them. If this makes sense to you and you're ready to start finding the answers to your questions that our traditional healthcare system has failed to provide, like, why do I have these symptoms if my lab tests are normal? Or why did I become hypo or hypothyroid in the first place? Or the real $64,000 question, what can I do to fix it? If you're ready to find the answers to these questions, just fill out the answers in the little blue box and we'll contact you to set up your complimentary consultation. This is where we'll sit down, review all your symptoms, and let me really begin to investigate your condition. Who you've been to, what they did for you, what medications you've been on, how they helped you, or if they even did, and what lifestyle changes, if any, that you've made. We'll also perform an examination, checking out your brain and cerebellum functions, assessing the damage to your thyroid or metabolic problem that it's already had on the rest of your body. Now this is when we really are going to assess if you're going to be a good candidate for this type of a program. Now once I have a chance to review all this information along with my own examination findings, then we'll sit down and talk again. And if we accept you into this program, we'll talk about developing our plan of attack, your goals, your expectations, and a realistic timeline for recovery on this program. We'll also talk about the tests we'll need to run, the treatments and the costs involved, and answer any and all of the questions that you might have. We have great results with the patients that we accept into this program. And part of the reason for this is because of who we accept as patients. We only accept those patients we truly feel will be able to help, and we only accept patients that are truly serious about getting better. In fact, so we don't waste each other's time, I'd like to quickly go over to some of the rules that we have for our potential patients that we're considering for this program. Number one, you have to be serious about getting better. You have to be committed at a level of 10 out of 10. Now, if you're only at a 9, you're not ready for this program. I will give nothing but my best to you if I accept you as my patient, and I ask for nothing less on your part. We will become partners, and I will only partner up with people I believe in and can count on to do their part. Number two, you need to be prepared to make some changes. You are where you are now, not because you chose to be this way, but unless you make some changes, you're going to stay here or get worse. Now this may include changing the food that you eat, taking supplements, lifestyle changes, exercise habits, whatever it takes to better your health. Number three, you need to take responsibility for your own health. It's not the responsibility of your employer, or your children, your spouse, the government, or even your insurance carrier. Only you can decide to make the necessary changes. And number 4, you need to understand that this program is not covered by insurance. They may pay for little, if any, of the testing, but for the most part, you need to be prepared to cover most of your own costs. And number 5, if you're married or have someone sharing in your financial decisions, you need to have them present at your report of findings. So if you're ready to get serious about your health and getting it back and take the first step down the road to recovery, just fill out the information in the blue box and one of our staff will contact you to set up your first appointment.